All right, here we go. Episode number 5 with Chip on the mat. So today's episode, we had a great question about getting the word out. How do you get the word out locally for your martial arts school? And then we had another great question, a physical question on the hip strength side and gaining hip strength and some drills and exercises to do to get control of your kicks and to make your kicks stronger. So I'm looking forward to seeing you back here on episode 5 of Chip on the Mat.
John Xerus asks, Master Chip, what have you found to be the most effective method to get the word out about your schools? Demos, flyers, ads, word of mouth? Thank you and much respect. Hashtag Chip on the Mat.
Hey, Big John Xerus, my breaking brother out there in the world. How are you today, man? Great question, by the way. Just in case you guys don't know, Mr. John Xerus is one of the best breakers in the entire world. Multiple-time world breaking champion at the International Sport Karate Association. Just an all-around amazing guy. So I'm humbled and honored to be getting a question from you today, Mr. John. What are the best ways to get the word out for your business? Well, I got a few thoughts for you, okay? I don't want to get too crazy here, but let's think about this. We need to make sure that we understand separating our marketing, our advertising, and our sales. Marketing is just delivering the message of your brand, establishing your brand. Advertising is like a way that you're going to advertise that brand. In other words, I'm going to go get a billboard down the road and have a billboard that says, Xerus Karate Academy or Team Chip Taekwondo Centers or whatever. That's my advertising on that billboard right there. And then sales is actually engaging and asking for the business. You have someone you're trying to close the deal. So I know that seems a little silly, but I wanted to separate those things because those are very different. Marketing, getting the word out, is about marketing your business. It's about delivering your message. What is the mission and what is the message of your martial arts school? For Team Chip, it's empowering people through the pursuit of personal martial arts excellence. We want to empower. We want to take people and give them their power. And so that's the message that we try to deliver at all times, whether we're out, advertising some way by paid advertisement or just spreading the word of mouth, whatever. We want people to feel empowered. We want them to personify that mission, that motto that we have, and take it everywhere they go. So that's kind of the story. That's kind of the why. So with that said, that's how we market. So what are the best ways to get the word out there? We all know the best advertising in the entire world is word of mouth. When you have mom of little Johnny, and little Johnny is gone from C's in school to A's in school, gone from the back of the classroom to the front of the classroom, and is an intentional little leader and becoming stronger, that mom is one of the best advertisement sources that you have because they understand the value of what you do. They love what you do. I mean, there's nothing that a parent loves more than when someone serves their children and helps their children to be better servants and better people themselves. And so word of mouth is just amazing. I am just someone out on the street thinking, hey, I'm interested in martial arts classes, and I'm talking to the waitress at the local restaurant, and she goes, oh yeah, I take my daughter over to Joe Blow's Taekwondo school, and they're amazing. Right away, there's a warm connection that's created. So I'm kind of beating that horse a little bit, but word of mouth is amazing. Now, we have technology today, so we have to maximize the way we get our word of mouth advertising out there. So in your school, you want to be creating ambassadors. You want to be engaging your parents, not just teaching on the mat, but jumping over at the side and shaking their hands, looking them in the eye, and personifying that message you deliver. But also, hey, don't forget to post a picture for it. Hey, did you enjoy the workout? Did you enjoy what we did in the class? Did you love that mat chat that we did today? Man, I'm glad you liked it. Do you mind sharing that a little bit with some of your friends on your social media? Just be asking. Ask for the business, man. There's nothing wrong with that. And people that truly care and love what you do and they're there for the right reasons, they're going to be like, absolutely, I'll share that for you. So it's not a problem. So we have to engage our ambassadors inside our school and even kind of coach them along sometimes on help us spread the word so that we can continue to reach more people and serve more people. The next thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit besides word of mouth, which again, number one, the best, and social media, how you attach that social media to your word of mouth is gear and window stickers. I don't know if you noticed, but in the episodes, I've been trying to be kind of vigilant about wearing a different Team Chip shirt each time. Our logos, we have one very common brand logo that I think everyone kind of knows, but our t-shirts can vary in design, so we want them to be sharp, want them to look neat. This is actually a shirt from our Team Chip Sweetwater location with Mr. Lonnie Mendez, and a shirt that he actually designed. I love this shirt. And so the gear that you wear, just yesterday, I walked into a local, basically department store, for lack of better words, and walked in the door. My daughter and I are together. We both happen to be wearing Team Chip shirts, and right away the greeter says, "Hey, you guys are from Team Chip. Have you heard of Team Chip, ma'am?" Absolutely. Great place is what I hear. Thank you, ma'am. That's all I needed to hear from you today. So your gear, having it on your students and on your people, and when I say gear, not your classroom gear, but t-shirts and hats and we do socks sometimes and headbands and little hair ties and stuff that we can brand and stuff for the kids. That stuff is priceless in getting your name and your brand out there at all times. Now I'm going to give you one that I think a lot of people may overlook. I know a lot of people do it, but a lot of people don't. And this one has been one of our most powerful get the words out on a very inexpensive level. It's Carl window stickers. Carl window sticker. We have a window sticker that's about 12 inches tall by about 6-8 inches wide, and that window sticker is on a big percentage of our students' vehicles. And one of the things that we do in our school is we'll just have a day where we go, hey, today we're doing window sticker install. And we walk through every class and ask the parents, who's willing to wear our colors, wear a window sticker for us, and we'll install it. As a matter of fact, not only will I install it, I'll clean your windows for you while I'm out there. Do you mind? And a huge percentage of your parents and your adult students and people that have cars, they don't mind at all. They're like, absolutely, man, I love this place. I want to be here, so put a window sticker on. Most common comment I get about our window stickers is this: man, I see Team Chip cars everywhere. And I say, yes, thank you very much. And here's the thing, you can get those window stickers for about $1 a piece, fairly inexpensive, a very powerful way to market your brand and your business and get the word out. And then the next thing I want to say on this is demos, demos, demos. Make sure you're getting out in the community and doing demos. Doing demos so people can actually see what you do. And while you're doing the demo, here's some things to think about. John, you and I, we like to break stuff. But just seeing a bunch of big men smash bricks is not the greatest demo for the mom who's looking for self-defense and martial arts for their children. Or, the dad who's just looking to get into shape and get on the mat, So we need to think about our demos and make sure that they're diverse and that they tell a story, that they kind of share who we are, what our character is, it shares a real picture of what we do in classes so people can see that and go, wow, that's really something that I want my kids to be engaged in. And there's one last piece of this. All of this, every bit of this, is affected by the age of your school. What season is your school in? If you're a brand new starting school, you're not going to have a lot of word of mouth. So you're going to have to advertise. Buy some billboards, buy some banner ads on social media, do some things to get the word out. And I can't tell you enough, I think social media advertising is very powerful because you can target it down to the right people in the right area and really narrow it down and really minimize how much you spend. It's a pretty powerful return. So if I'm a brand new school, I'm going to have to spend some money. If I'm a 10, 15-year school that's got a pretty strong reputation already, I really want to be maximizing kind of building those ambassadors inside the school to go out and help spread the word. Help me get into the schools and talk to kids and do school talks with classrooms and stuff like that. Just anything you can do to kind of propagate your brand. And I want to throw a couple of last thoughts in here that none of this advertising and marketing and social media means diddly squat if you don't have a product on the mat. If you're not serving, if you're not working hard, if you're not delivering, if your students and instructors and staff aren't delivering, you're wasting your money by doing a lot of marketing. So all change for the better, we all know, starts on the inside. So before I can help anyone else how to be able to help myself, it's kind of the same way on the mat. Man, we can go spend all the money we want on advertising, but when they show up, if there's nothing to see and there's not a real product there, it all falls apart. So just remember that in that marketing and spreading the word and getting the word out. Hope that helps a lot, man. I love you, brother. Take care, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Dietrich Thompson asks, Chip, I've been training my kicks for a while and trying to kick higher and have more control of my legs. Do you know of any drills to help strengthen my hips? Hashtag Chip on the mat.
Hey, Mr. Dietrich, that is another great question. We're talking about hip strength for helping to control kicks and hip mobility and things like that. So one of the first things that I want to address, I show people this all the time, and they're kind of surprised, and I'll just kind of tell you the way I tell my students. We spend our whole life moving forward and sometimes moving back. And so what we do is we build this anterior, this front hip flexor, and we build the back side. But we don't build the sides, the lateral hip flexors on the sides of your legs very much. So one of the things that I have students do sometimes, especially my more mature students, my older adult students in class, is I'll have them stand very relaxed with their feet about a shoulder width apart and have them take their fingers. You have your upper hip bone, you have the top of your thigh, your upper thigh bone here. And in between, there's a muscle. And I have them take their fingers and press in. And it's soft. But what then I have them do is take their feet and push out on the floor. So whenever I push my thumbs in and I push out, I don't know if you can see it, but watch as I flex out. Flex out. My hands push out from my side. It's that lateral hip flexor flexing. Now, what's the relevance of this? When we're in kicking, I want you to notice a lot of times with even your young guys, but a lot of times your more mature students, when you teach them to turn to the side to kick, like for a roundhouse or a side kick, their knee tends to drop. That's because if their body is turned this way, their butt's doing the work because it's the stronger part of the hip package. So what happens is we've spent our life stepping upstairs and making our glutes strong, but we haven't spent a lot of time shuffling side to side to build the lateral hip flexors. The other thing you see is you'll say, okay, pick your knee up, and they'll turn their body forward and pull their knee up to the front. That's, again, we've spent our whole life walking forward, building this front side of the hip flexor and the front side of the quads, so the strength tends to fall in the front and the back. So when you actually get them in the correct position, you have them pivot that bottom foot and try to lift their knee, again, the knee falls. They're missing the strength in this lateral hip flexor to lift their knee up high. And that's the strength that we want to develop. That's one of the strengths in this hip package that we want to develop. So I wanted to point that out first because a lot of times when I point that out to students, it's like you see a bulb go, bing, wow, I never thought about that, but you're right. And they all stand around for a minute, feeling of their hips, because they want to learn to feel that. Another thing I learned a long time ago when I was a young guy, I am by no means a super weightlifter or anything, but I spent a fair amount of time in the gym just lifting weights. I just had this desire to be fit. And so I had a lot of guys who spent a lot of time in the gym would come over and kind of coach me along for free because I'd be over on the bench press dying. And these guys would come over and go, oh, Chip, let me help you with that before you break your neck. And by the way, put your hands here and adjust this and do that. And they gave me a lot of free advice. And one of the things that they taught me was this. They said, go home, and they said, stand in the mirror and flex different muscles. You sometimes have to consciously teach your body how to flex things. This lateral hip flexor is one of those things that you kind of have to think about to make it flex. It's not just a natural thought process to flex the sides of your hips. It's just an awkward movement. But all it is, one more time, is just feet on the floor, is taking your legs and just trying, like you're going to slide out to a center split, just pushing out, but not letting your feet slide. And that flexes that side. So again, I can't emphasize enough, and putting your fingers on it and feeling it flex helps you to connect that dot from your brain to the actual muscle. It helps you to connect that connection through your internal system. Oh, that's flexing when I make this motion with my leg. So just a little bit of food for thought on creating strength in your hips. I'm going to give you a few just simple drills, things that we do to help with things like this. One of the things that I like to do first is put people in the correct position. So we're going to get in the position to throw like a good traditional roundhouse kick or side kick, where my bottom foot is pivoted toes to the wall, and my front foot is pivoted to this side over here. So they're basically shaped like an L. My kicking target would be over here, so my hands would be up here. Now, we wouldn't fight like this or anything, but this is just exercise to develop control and correct technique. So we're here. So what I do is I'll have my students, I intentionally set this up kind of as a little temporary dance bar. We have an actual dance bar in the gym, but I set this up. Anybody can do this, a doorknob, a chair, anything, a Wave Master bag. So have them put their hands on something and have them begin to lift their leg. And it doesn't have to go very high. And if you look at my foot position, I'm thinking foot control. So I'm teaching my students, hey, while you're working on this hip mobility and strength and control, work on that foot positioning and controlling your foot. Let's be making that muscle memory stick now as you're learning. So teaching them to lift, keeping their heel, their hip, and their shoulder in a straight line, not letting their butt fold out like this and their foot come over to the side. So we want to learn to begin to control that. The next thing that we do is we'll have our students, besides just lifting, get on the bar, and next is begin chambering. So pulling that knee back and working that push. Knee back, push. Controlling that motion, that linear motion of that side kick. The next thing we do, we'll transfer that into a roundhouse, is have them lift their knee, again, knee, hip, and shoulder in a straight line, extend, rechamber, extend, rechamber, and control that hip motion. Super hard because as people do it, what happens is their butt starts to do what I call fall out, and their body begins to fold, and that's that front strength kicking in, trying to hold their leg up. And so this gives out, okay? So what we do is we have to kind of move around as an instructor and say, move that high knee in and get that knee pulled over and get that line flat with your shoulder, hip, and knee. Get that body flattened out, okay? That's your hip engagement in the actual kick. So if I was to throw the kick from here, turn that body and that hip, that's that hip engagement happening. So those are just a couple little drills that we do. Another thing, sometimes I have them put their hand on the bar and go ahead and lift. My foot's a little sticky here on the mat, but I have them rotate through that motion, extend their kick, and then rotate it as smooth as they can back and set it down. That we sometimes lovingly call slow hip death, because it's one of those classes that cardiovascularly sometimes is not that challenging, but you get to the end of class and you're kind of wobbling your way out the door because your hips are so fatigued from all of that motion. So those are, again, just a couple of drills that we do. Another thing that we do commonly is we use bands and straps and things like that. These are super easy to use. This is just a century band that we have. I take this thing, I wrap it around and pull it through, and voila, I have a loop to hook my foot in. So I hook my foot, and we get in position, we pre-pivot, and we just work on extending those kicks, controlling at the top, rechambering, extend, and rechamber, extend, and rechamber. Now, this builds hips and strength and control, but also leg strength and control, and correct motion of the kick. And when you get to this, I emphasize, especially with my more advanced students, when you get to this end piece, you should be flexed like a rock, whole body. There shouldn't be any wobble, wobble, wobble trying to control the cord or control the band. And if there is, that's okay. We know we really need to work on that core and that body strength to control that at the top. Another thing that I'm an absolute fan of, and these aren't mine, by the way, these are one of my students because we have them back here in the what we call the garage area, and I just grabbed them to use for the video here. But it's an ankle weight. Strap your ankle weight on, boom, and do all the same drills that we just did right here, from picking up and holding the knee and just moving through slow. Now, hugely emphasize, everything needs to be slow. Don't snap. Don't snap and lock. You're going to have someone hurt their knee. Very slow motions. Same thing with the side kick. Pulling the knee back, pushing it out, pulling it back, pushing it out, and controlling those kicks. And absolutely, we have everyone do everything on both sides. So it's a two-side thing. We don't just do one side. I'm just demoing on one side now just for camera purposes and simplicity. But these are amazing. Another thing for hip strength that I like to do is do crescent kicks. So many people miss out on that opportunity to build that core and body control is do crescent kicks. So I'm going to do a couple of kind of crescent kicks. I pick my leg up straight, and I'm going to do what we call an inside to out or an outside crescent kick. I pick it up, and I circle it, and I put the kick back behind me. But what I want you to do with your weight is try, this is hard, to go slow. Super, super hard to do. And to up that a little bit, stack some bags on the floor to kick over or put a Weightmaster in front of you, something like that. And then do like 5 with the weight off, full speed right after, and you'll feel like Superman kicking. So with that said, those are just a handful of drills, ankle weights, bands, using something for balance. Obviously, just standing and holding and moving through kick motions without something to balance is just another step up and another great way to exercise that hip control and strength. Don't forget to warm up really good, and don't forget to stretch super hard. And I hope that helps, Mr. Dietrich. Okay, so there you have it. We just finished up episode 5 of Chip on the Mat, but I've got a cool call to action for you. You know, in the first part of the episode, we were talking to Mr. Xerus about creating ambassadors inside your school to help you to promote via social media. So here's what my challenge for you. I challenge you to get as many parents as you can over the next handful of days. We won't put a deadline on it. Handful of days to post as many pictures as you can from your mat, pictures they take of their kids, and hashtag your business name, your motto, but also hashtag Chip on the Mat. Let's get those things moving out there and share some really cool pictures and get your parents checking into your locations and sharing on social media and become those ambassadors. Now, don't forget, if you have questions for me, hashtag them, Chip on the Mat, submit them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Make sure you make it a fresh post if you don't mind, instead of in a comment. Those get a little hard to find. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us, share the videos. This is nothing but a free service we're doing for you, and I'm going to absolutely ask you unashamedly, please share these things and put them out there, and let's help as many people as we can to create amazing martial arts environments for their students. See you next time.